Joining me now is Mark Anderson, a Zimbabwean who last year invaded the pitch during one of Zimbabwe's matches against England. Mark, welcome. I'm saying that one match tomorrow is certainly off, but looks as if the rest of the tour could go ahead. I would imagine that's the last thing you'd want to see happen.
I think it continues to demonstrate the hypocrisy that the British government are showing, and is also providing a big moral victory for the Mugabe regime. But one of the reasons why the British government are continuing the hypocrisy is because they have a huge amount of egg on their face, given the fact that they've allowed it to go on for so long.
Okay, you had a pop there, the British government, but don't you think it makes the Zimbabwean government look even more foolish by firstly imposing these bans, then when it looks as if world opinion is against them, the bans are suddenly lifted?
It is ludicrous, but we've known for a long time that Mugabe is and does operate a fairly ludicrous regime, which is why my argument is with the international community, particularly the British government. When 5 years ago Robert Mugabe was saying Pakistan can't be a member of the Commonwealth because you've got to have a democracy and a non-violent regime, yet here's a dictator that you've put into power who's been a dictator for 24 years.
It is a democracy though, isn't it?
Is there a democracy happening in Ukraine at the moment? I'm not a political person, I don't know, but all I know is that, you know, there's a huge amount of hypocrisy because he's a dictator that's been put into power for, you know, and kept there for a long time.
But you're bringing in, Mark, aren't you? You're bringing sport and politics into the melting pot, and the general accepted wisdom is sport and politics should remain separate.
Absolutely. England never used to play South Africa cricket. I rest my case. You know, it's an interesting one.
But don't you think there is a valid argument to say that if all sporting bodies, if England sport says no, we will not have any contact with Zimbabwe, surely that is simply more isolating the country? At least there is some goodwill, is there not, between people on the ground at sporting level?
I wholly endorse the fact that it is beneficial to exposure, and it's unfortunate that sport and politics do get mixed. The England Cricket Board some time ago vowed that sport and politics should never get involved, but you know they are, and yes, it would alienate the players. So it is unfortunate, but it's very fortunate that all of these things are raising the attention, and perhaps making the situation a little more uncomfortable for Jack Straw and Tony Blair on the old handshaking and hypocrisy department.
Not just, Mark, the players who would be alienated, but all those people who would like to watch the game. You know, they would be deprived of that pleasure. Isn't what we have now perhaps the lesser of various evils that, okay, you have, in your words, drawn attention to what's going on, but yet let the game go ahead?
I still don't think it's. I still don't think. I mean, okay, we'll send them videos if they want something to watch. I mean, that isn't really an issue.
Video is not like a live event.
No, absolutely, and I appreciate that people would like to watch live cricket. However, I had an experience last year of doing a protest at Lord's, which I volunteered for because I'm not an activist. I have strong views on human rights issues. I had an ex-girlfriend who was raped years ago. The British government are endorsing a regime that is enforcing rape and torture all the time. So I did a protest at Lord's suggesting that the British government were hypocritical, and for my sins got taken to Paddington Green maximum security prison or police station. I told them that I'm not an Al-Qaeda or IRA member. I'm a moral Zimbabwean standing up for human rights issues, and I think this is a bit of a knee-jerk reaction, and I think you guys are, it's a bit overkill. I had my fingerprints, my DNA, and my mugshot taken, so I think that sort of speaks for itself, really, in terms of freedom of speech and, what kind of beggars the question about what sort of democracy Uncle Jack and Uncle Tony are giving us over here.
But of course you did have the freedom to make that protest and make that speech. But Mark Anderson,
very grateful.
Thanks very much for your time and for joining us.